right, I think we're live streaming now. Yes? Thumbs up? All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to those of you who are watching online. I'm Dan Metzger. I'm the pastor here at St. Marks United Methodist Church. We're glad you're here for this time of some prayer and some discussion about what's happening in Ukraine right now. I'm sure you've seen a lot on the news. And it's something that I know has been difficult for a lot of us to see and to know, to kind of wrap our minds around. And so we're going to spend some time today talking about this and praying. I want to let you know a couple things that we're not here to do. We're not here to be able to solve a geopolitical crisis. That's not our area of expertise here right now. We're probably not going to be able to solve that problem here in this room today. We're probably not also going to be able to alter or change or fix or anything a United States government response to it. So we're not here to assess necessarily or argue about the United States government response to all of this. Those are important conversations, but they're not today's conversation. Today's conversation, what we're going to be doing is really four things. We're going to be praying for the people of Ukraine and for all of those who have been affected by this crisis, by this war that is happening. We're going to do our best to learn, because I would say, and I'm not trying to belittle anyone here, but I just know how I am. For most of us, up until about a month ago, it might have been difficult to immediately find Ukraine on a map, and let alone to pronounce the names of all of the cities that you have begun hearing about on the news. So we're going to try to learn a little bit more about what's about Ukraine and about some of the things that are happening there. We also want to, and I think this is maybe one of the most important things, put names and faces to the crisis. It can be very impersonal for us, as we're in a different hemisphere of the planet, right? And so sometimes it can just seem like a very impersonal thing. But today you're going to be able to put a name and faces and a family in the middle of what is going on in Ukraine, and it'll help us to understand it in that way a little more. And then finally at the end we'll talk a little bit about what our response is going to be and what are some of the ways in which we might be able to help with the crisis that's going on in Ukraine. All right. But I thought the best thing for us to do would be to start with some prayer. And so I invite you to bow your heads. Let's take a few moments of silent prayer for the people of Ukraine and all those affected by the conflict, and then I'll close this. God of the nations, we know that you see us and you hear our prayers, and that you see the people of Ukraine and you hear their prayers as well. We pray, God, for your mercy and your grace for all of those who are hurting right now, for those who are separated from their families, for those who have already experienced loss of property or even loss of life. God, we pray that in the midst of rubble and ashes, that your glory would somehow shine through. That you would be, once again, the God who redeems and restores things that are broken. And God, that your name would be made famous even in the midst of things that seem like hell, that heaven would shine through. Only you have the power to make this happen. So we pray that you give comfort and hope where it seems like there shouldn't be any. And we pray that you would embolden us to not only pray for those who are hurting, but to find ways in which we can offer to be your hands and feet to a world that is hurting. We love you. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Well, friends, I'm excited to introduce you to Lana Mosser. Lana's been a part of this church for a good while now, and she'll share her story. I do want to let you know that after she's done talking, we will have a little bit of time for some Q&A. So if you've got some questions, hang on to them, and at the end, we'll be able to share some of that together. So, Lana?
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much, church. Thank you, family. Thank you, friends who gathered today. I'm blessed to have you here, and it shows me that you care. It shows me that you are not, you care about Ukraine, you care about refugees, you care about kids that are stuck in Ukraine right now. It shows me a lot. So thank you very much for being here. I'm so sorry if you cannot understand me, because for the past 10 days I've been talking and reading in 5 different languages. It's completely confusing me right now. When Pastor Dan asked me to talk today, and he asked me on Friday, I believe, after my interview for the Courier, if I would like to talk and what I would like to talk about. When I lived in Belarus, every summer my mom would ask me, would you like to go to Ukraine or would you like to go to the seaside? And I always chose Ukraine. I always wanted to go back to Sumy. I wanted to see my friends. I wanted to see my grandma and grandpa, all of my family. My grandpa built a small cottage garden right outside of Sumy, and where we grew vegetables and we had chickens and rabbits. It was my vacation space, my place. And my dream over here was to show my kids and my husband that. Unfortunately, this dream has to postpone. February 24th, I woke up with a lot of text messages from my friends from all over the world. They asked me if my family is okay. I couldn't understand why they are asking it. Then my mom called me and told me the news. The first day was a shock. I couldn't understand. I couldn't believe what is going on. Like, why is it happening in 21st century? The second day, on Friday, I was devastated. I was crying, and I believe I cry every day right now. This third day, I understood that I have to act. I have to act. I have to raise the awareness of what's happening in Ukraine. I know all of us watching the news, and they see devastation, and they see how cruel Russian forces on Ukrainian people. Sometimes I refuse even to say that this is the war between Russia and Ukraine. This is a genocide of Ukrainian people. It's a genocide of Ukrainian people in their belief of freedom, belief of speaking Ukrainian language, sing in Ukrainian, to study Ukrainian, to be Ukrainians, not Russians. And it's hard to see that Russian people right now don't see it. I have friends in Belarus and Russia, and you cannot even believe that they don't have this information. They don't see that military bombing the cities. They don't see that military killing kids. They're killing themselves. This military, Russian military, I think yesterday I watched Ukrainian president. It was over 10,000 Russian soldiers right now in Ukraine laying down dead. And they don't even take their bodies away. They just laying down on the roads like it's nothing. They are not humans. This is like real act against humanity. And it breaks my heart, not just for Ukrainian people, but for Russians, but also for the soldiers' moms. I have these 2 beautiful boys over here, and I'm just thinking about what if it will be my kids who went to the other country to fight for, they have no idea what they're fighting for. Ukrainians do. They fighting for their freedom and for their lands, for their kids. But what Russian fighting, they have no idea. The latest news in Belarus shows that Belarusian army, they don't want to go to fight for Ukraine, in Ukraine, because they have no idea what they're fighting for. They are running away from their generals who are telling them to go straight to Ukraine, but they're running away. This information is from my mom. She is worried a lot and she is looking all over the news. And unfortunately, the news on the TV in Russia and Belarus shows one thing, that Ukraine fighting with Ukrainians. That no Russian forces are killing kids and people. It's only Ukrainians between Ukrainians, and Russia is actually saving them. This is what they're telling them. My father, who moved to Russia 4 years ago from Belarus, he doesn't believe us. How pity is that? My sister had birthday on March 3rd and March 2nd, I'm sorry. And he texted her saying, "Happy birthday, daughter. I hope everything is well." And my sister said, "Dad, I'm scared. They bombing our city. We are living in a basement for almost 7 days." At that point of time, I think it was 7. I'm scared. I'm scared for my life. I'm scared of my child's life. I'm scared of everything. What is going to happen? The only thing that he responded to her, it was, "Don't worry, Russian people will save you." That's how Russian propaganda washed their brains. They just know something that what shows on the TV, nothing else. About Sumy, it's my city. It's beautiful. In summertime, we had so many flowers all over the place, and we have so many churches in the different religions. Right now, this city is 40% destroyed. They start destroying the city with the military academy, which is right next door with my home. When they start, and my sister was there as well at that point of time. So when they start bombing the first day on 24th at night, they start bombing that city, they targeted this military academy. When they bombed it, a lot of houses around that military academy lost windows. It is 30 degrees right now in Ukraine. Everybody is hiding on the basement of their apartments. So Sumy city is mostly we don't really have small houses. We do have 5 or 12 stores, apartments. So that's how people live there. So people live in apartments buildings, not like in the small buildings. So everybody went downstairs in the basement. So I just want to describe you how the basements even looks like. They are not equipped for the bomb shelling, or they're not equipped for people to live there. It's small spaces where people actually storage their equipments, maybe like garden equipments, or maybe bicycles, or it is cold there all year long, so that's why people put in their stuff that they maybe preserve, like vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. So there's no heat there, and people live right now there for 10 days. They're afraid to go outside. They're afraid to even go to the stores. There's a few people who just go in right now and volunteers, and my sister is one of them. She is volunteers to help the wounded soldiers. They are providing food for them or some medicine. the internet is full of different types of messages saying like, okay, people, we need this, we need medicine, we need this medicine, we need this, we need food, we need water, or something like that. So, and that's how they survive in unity. They united, they know what they're fighting for, they know why they live in this for. My sister is also volunteer to watch the Sum City cameras at night when some of the soldiers are sleeping. So she's basically watching where the enemy is and how she can help, or like how she can warn the soldiers to protect the city. It is hard. It is hard to watch, but it's 1,000% harder to live in that. I talk to my sister, to my mom, to all of my friends in Ukraine every single day, and I would never imagine in all of my crazy dreams that I would call them every day and ask them if they are alive. I was studying in a military class, in military base class kind of. We have 5 different classes, and some of them studied history, some of them study math or Ukrainian language. I was in a military class with 30 boys and 4 girls. I was the 4th. So now all those 30 boys is in front of my face every day because they're protecting Ukraine. I remember the last day of our school when how smiley they are, how were they excited to go to universities, they were excited to go to army. And no one in crazy dream would think that this would happen. And for what? This genocide of Ukrainian people. And not just Ukrainian, it comes to Russia too. All of these 10,000 soldiers who had no idea what they were fighting for, they're just laying down like a piece of meat on Ukrainian land. Why? Why this? What are you doing to that? It's ungodly. God created us to create, to love, to help each other, not to kill. And unfortunately, this has happened here. And I'm here to stand on this stage. Never would think about doing that anytime. But I have to. I have to raise the voice. I have to raise the voice of my people. People who are struggling right now in these cold basements. I want to show you a couple of pictures of my city. So this is the orphanage house where my sister's father-in-law works, and he's actually a volunteer right now there as well. He stays there 24/7. He doesn't go home. He doesn't see his family. He stays with this group of kids. I think it's up to 40 kids there. And these kids are from the age of 3 to 18. So this is a picture actually before the war. It was, they all wearing Ukrainian national clothes, vyshivanka, that's how they call it. It's basically cross-stitch, the stitching all over, handmade. And next picture, if you can have. This is the house. It's called the baby house. This is the kids from newborn to 3 years old. Right now they sit in the basement and drinking tea. They have no idea what's going on. And I just want you to imagine, like, if you ever felt scary and how you want to be hugged or hear from someone that everything will be okay, everything is fine. I think 3 or 4 days ago, my old son Elijah woke up in the middle of the night crying, and he came to my room and he said, "Mom, I'm scared, there's a monster in my room, I want you to hug me." And it's partly of my fault and my husband's fault because we're watching TV 24/7 and we're watching the news. And of course the kids are seeing that, seeing this cruelty, seeing the bomb and people crying and stuff like that. So when he came to me at night, I hugged him, and that's when it clicked to me and just, can you imagine, he came to their mom and dad, these kids don't have mom and dad. They don't have anybody to go. They have 2 teachers and 1 volunteer who stayed with them as the 40 kids. And how they're scared. They hear the sirens every day. They hear the bombing, they hear the shooting. How scared they are. They're not just watching it, they are living in it. And I just feel helpless over here to even think about it. Can I have another picture, please? So this is the orphanage house as well. That's how kids 3 to 18 sleeping right now in the basement. No one prepared. No one was prepared. Right now, volunteers from SUMI bring in the blankets and food and stuff like that, like diapers, and because no one knew that's gonna happen. Yes, he threatened us for a long time. I'm talking about Putin, but no one believed that. No one believed that this is how it's gonna be, how they're gonna bomb the city. It's not the war anymore, because war is when military fighting with military. Right now it's a genocide when military killing peaceful people who wants to live. Peaceful kids who has no idea what's going on. So that's how Ukrainian kids are sleeping right now. This warms my heart because this is the pictures of the orphanage kids who drawing one picture right now. We want peace. We want to be Ukrainians, and please leave us alone. We want peace. Please pray for us. So you see that there's birds and world together, so that's what they writing down. They said we want peace. So this is my sister's father-in-law sitting with one of his, I would say it's students, because they're learning there a lot in this house. So it's him who volunteers there 24/7, sitting with those kids, and somehow he thinks that he can protect them if something happens. And of course, like if they will start bombing the city around that area where they are, he is the one who is going to help them to get out from the basements. Can I have another picture, please? There is another picture that I don't know, like if you received it. There is a military academy that was next to my house. Oh, no, it's okay. Okay. There's another picture where you see that the building completely destroyed. My father was in military. He studied in that building. He went to that academy, and yet he doesn't believe that this is happening. My sisters sent a message showing him pictures of that academy. He said, no, it's fake. You guys are faking it. So that's what people think in Russia. They think that everything, this war, this genocide, this bodies on the ground, it's all fake. That's why I'm here, and I hope you have some friends who you can tell that that's not fake. It's real. I'm living in it. My family living in it. The whole Ukraine living in it. They living in a war.
Thank you so much for sharing some of your story. I wanted to give you just a couple of follow-up questions, and and then we'll kind of open up to a time of Q&A. But one of the things I think is important that you mentioned in the Courier article, and we've talked about it a little bit, is that you said, I don't hate the Russian people. It's what their government is doing. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
As I said before, that so from the day one of the war, there were few internet websites that were still working in Russia, and news, independent news, not the government news, who are trying to tell the people what's going on in Ukraine, that why our Russian people are killing Ukrainians. We've been in unity for so long. We speak in language. I speak Russian language, and we understand each other. I have a lot of Russian friends, and I just don't really understand how can we brothers kill brothers. It's hard. But at the same time, that why I said that I don't hate them, because they don't know what we know. They don't see what's going on. The Russian propaganda, all of the TV shows, everything is okay. The other day I looked at the news in Russia, and they showed the cameras on Kiev, on Kharkiv that is being destroyed. 95% of the city got destroyed. They showed the camera of Kharkiv and said, old camera of Kharkiv, like maybe 2 months ago, and saying, look, everything's good, everything's peaceful. Why are you guys even talking about it? There is no war there. We are, as a Russian population, military, we are going there to help Ukrainians to fight for their voice. It's unbelievable.
If you were at the first service, or if you stick around for the second one, we're talking today about the 7 last words of Christ, and the one we're talking about today is when Jesus was on the cross and he said, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. And I think that that's maybe the case for a lot of the Russian people, is they don't know. They don't know what they don't know.
As I said, my heart is breaking, not just for Ukrainian people, it's just for Russian too, because a lot of people get infected, a lot of innocent people get infected because of the Russian government. All of these kids who went to the war, they even didn't know they're going to the war. They told them there's going to be a special operation where when they will go to Ukraine, and Ukrainians will say, thanks God you're here, and give the flowers to them. But no, they see the resistance. They see how people fighting without weapons. They jump in front of the tanks to try to stop the tanks to go to different places to kill people. They protesting and telling the world that, no, we don't want you to save us, we are fine. We are Ukrainians, we want to be in Ukraine, we don't want to be in Russia.
Well, one of the things that I think for people in America who might not have had a lot of an eye on what's been going on in that part of the world, I think we know that Ukraine was a part of the USSR back until the early 90s. And then after the fall of the Soviet Union, and Ukraine has been struggling since that time to decide whether or not, are we leaning Russian, or are we kind of leaning more towards the West? And so just here's a 10,000-foot view, and forgive me if I butcher this, and please feel free to correct anything, but it was around 2014 that there was a pro-Russian government, that there was an agreement in place to at least join a partnership with the European Union. And the pro-Russian government at the last minute pulled out of that deal. It led to a lot of riots, and not riots, peaceful protests that riot police came in to try to really stomp out. And it was at a place called Maidan in Kyiv. And this led to something called the Revolution of Dignity, where really the pro-Russian government was ousted, and more pro-Ukrainian and Western-leaning government began to be established in some way. So this is conflict that's been happening now for 25 years, since the time of the fall of the Soviet Union. There's been this conflict, but there are people who remember when they were all one nation, not so very long ago, and now there's this conflict that's happening. So you were in Ukraine, you said, during the time of that transition of government. How have you seen things change since that time in Ukraine? How has Ukraine changed since there was a pro-Russian government to a more pro-Western leaning government?
I feel like Ukrainians have been fighting with pro-Russian government for a long time. When I was at school, and I think it was the 10th grade, 9th grade, there was an Orange Revolution that take a part of 2014 in Kiev. I'm sorry, not 2014, 2004. 2004 in Kiev as well, where again Russia tried to put the president in Kiev, and the Ukrainian people, they didn't agree. The Ukrainian people won, and they put Ukrainian president there. In a few years, it got again. They put again the same pro-Russian president again to be a president of Ukraine. In 2014, when Viktor Yanukovych, which was the president of Ukraine before, pro-Russian president and very good friend of Putin, when he's supposed to sign the European unity, he signed the more he signed a pro-Russian unity with Putin. So it's basically he told the European Union, we don't want you, I want to stay with Russia. People, I guess, again, people start be very mad. They didn't want to be pro-Russia. They want to be in Europe. So again, it was a lot. And if you never seen Winter on Fire, please watch it, and you kind of understand why Ukrainian people fighting so hard right now. What I can say, I can say that right now the whole Ukraine is united with President Zelensky, and I'm so proud of each of them. I'm proud of Ukrainian government right now who stand in front of their people and fighting for their freedom, fighting for Ukraine. They didn't fly away. American government several times asked Zelensky if he wants to go away, if they want to escape. He said no, I don't need a right. So, of course, I'm proud that he is standing with their people. I'm proud that Ukrainians are fighting for their lives, fighting for their lands.
I want to open it up now for a little bit of a time of question and answer. So if you have a question, just, yeah, Buck, go ahead. So the question was, I'll repeat it so you can hear it on the live stream. When the tanks and troops first moved to the border and much of the world thought that Putin was bluffing, how did the people in Ukraine feel, and what was the leadership kind of telling them? I mean, I know that you're not there, but what were you hearing from your family there?
They were scared. They were afraid that there's gonna something happen. I've been listening Zelensky's speeches for a while, and what he was saying that we are, if even they will attack, we will fight with everything that we have. He didn't tell the whole Ukraine that it's going to be a war or something. Everybody saw the news and saw that military was all over the place, from Belarus borders to Russian borders. They were in Crimea, who used to be Ukrainian part, that they took. So it's basically, no one expected that. Everybody knew that they're there, but we all thought that he was bluffing. We thought that he is a smart man, but now we know that he's definitely not right in his mind, for sure.
Other questions? Yeah. Okay, so I'll repeat it. Try to do my best. So we've seen some of the history of the things that happened in Ukraine under Stalin, and I believe I just saw the other day that they still celebrate in Ukraine Stalin's death day. So it's obviously not like a great memory of Stalin. So what is the fear of if Russia takes over Ukraine, of what that would look like?
I try not to think about that, for sure. I know that Ukrainians will not kneel in front of Russia. It will be genocide of Ukrainian people. I know that they are fighting right now for their land. They know what they are. And if Russia will come and start like in Stalin's, they don't want people speak Ukrainian or write Ukrainian, publish in Ukrainian language. I'm scared that's what it's gonna be. I'm scared because I want my nation to be alive. I want to be my people alive. I don't want this. I hope it's never not gonna happen. I hope they will have a peace and Russia will go to Russia and leave Ukraine alone. Sorry, I don't think about it right now. What I'm thinking about is my people will win, and they will win.
Other questions? I had one more follow-up question. How has your faith been affected in the midst of all of this? And I had somebody ask me last week about the faith of the Ukrainian people as well. Your sister attends a Eastern Orthodox church in Sumy, and we've tried to find ways for me to be able to communicate there, but my Ukrainian is terrible. So I need help if we're going to be able to do that. But how has your faith been affected, and what do you know about how the faith of the people of Ukraine is faring?
I actually gonna go a little bit in. Before, when I was in Ukraine, I wasn't really a religion person. My grandma never took me to church. She would tell me the Bible stories, but we would never go to church because we didn't believe. We believe that all of the churches are corrupted. They just take money and not giving it to people. They just keeping it in church. So that's why we never went to church when I was little. When I moved to United States, I decided that I really want to go to Orthodox church. That's what my people's religion. I would like to go and pray. And when I told them, when I came to that church, I got kicked out from that church because I came like this. I came in pants. They told me that I cannot come in pants. I have to wear a skirt. Well, at that point, I was like, okay, so does God really care? Okay, so next time I went to church when my good friend was getting married in Orthodox church. So I got prepared. I came in skirt. But again, I got kicked out because I did not, my skirt was this long. It was not the long skirt. So I couldn't win, I guess. So after that, I left the church and I thought, why it's happening to me, like why people care how I dressed up. So when I moved to Finley, and my husband goes to St. Mark's Church for a long time since he was a baby. When he asked me if I want to go to the service, and of course, if you think, my thought was, what do I need to wear? Like, can I go in pants, or do I need a skirt, or like what people say about me? Like, so kind of like I couldn't expect the first day when I came to this church how great it was, how peaceful it was. No one judged each other, everybody as a family. My mom was over here several times, and she came on one of the dance ceremonies where he was talking passionately about Bible and God and all of. And my mom, she doesn't speak English, she doesn't understand English, so of course she sat for an hour and watched him, and after that she said, I could listen to him for a whole day. That's how passionate he was, how passionate he was telling about God, and that's what we missing in our churches. We need not discrimination against like, oh, what you wearing or whatever, you know. We need someone who will tell that God exists and teach us about God. And my faith, no, I'm stronger than ever. This didn't break me. I was devastated. I'm still crying. I'm still emotional, but it didn't break my faith. It didn't break my faith in Ukrainian people. That's why I truly believe that they will win. I'm so glad that billions of people are praying for Ukraine. I'm so glad that you are guys here and you truly care. And I'm glad that you're praying for Ukraine. And I just so blessed to receive the text messages from day one. I received hundreds of text messages telling me that we are praying for you and for your family. So thank you very much.
Friends, here's what, one more question and we're going to have to wrap up, so go ahead. Oh, yeah. So the question was around the idea of NATO in the United States and the chance of them coming in and what would happen then. That I know people have thrown around the idea of World War III and that kind of thing. Do the people in Ukraine, how do they feel about the complications of that issue and just what could happen if more people get drawn in? What's been kind of the response?
Well, war, it's never a good thing. Yeah. It's never a good thing when a lot of people involved and a lot of countries involved. I know what Ukrainian people are doing right now. They're protecting Europe against this aggression. 2 days ago, they started bombing the nuclear stations, and I don't know if you know about Chernobyl in 1986 when it was explosion in one base of nuclear station, and it killed 500,000 people, and millions of people got radiation and get complication of that. This station that the Russian forces were bombing 2 days ago has 6 bases. It's 6 times more than Chernobyl. It is 6 times this. It will be suffering not only Ukraine, it will be suffering Russians, whole Europe. It will go beyond the oceans. And that's why I know that European Union looking at the fight with Ukraine and Russia and say like, okay, for how long they're gonna hold on? We're gonna hold on for a long time, but how long are you going to watch this? I understand that it could be World War III, and it scares me to death, but someone needs to stop this aggression. Someone needs to stop the cruel act against humanity. The human life is the most important thing in this world. And when you see that someone like a checker playing with the check board and see, okay, where I'm gonna put my forces and how many people I'm going to kill and how many cities I'm gonna bomb, this is not real. This is ungodly.
So I think that's a perfect segue to, you said, and you said it a couple times, that this feels like an act against humanity. That the human life is so sacred. And so it's hard to be in Findlay, Ohio, and know that there's the problems there, and what can we do? So I want to offer you a couple of different things today. In the pews, there are yellow envelopes, and if you write a check to St. Marks, you can just write it to, how do they write it? St. Marks UMC or whatever. You write a check to us and just put on the envelope Ukraine. We're going to give that money through World Vision. World Vision's an organization we've worked with at this church several times. Right now, they are on the ground in Romania, where they are accepting refugees who are coming over. The refugees we know are almost entirely women, children, and the elderly. And one of the great things about World Vision, they work a lot of times almost exclusively with children. They're providing for them in Romania, not just for their healthcare needs and their food and things like that, but also their psychosocial needs. This is something that is this is the most devastating thing that these children will experience in their lives. They're separated from their fathers many times. They are, this is going to be horrific for them, and it's something that's being cared for there. So if you'd like to write a check or cash or whatever, it's going to go towards that. And we're going to keep that up throughout the season of Lent, but we'll offer that today, and we can we'll have somebody back there grab an offering plate for us to be able to do that. But Lana also has another way that you want to share about how another opportunity for people to give directly to the people of Sumy. So go ahead.
So this week I was trying to figure out like how I'm going to send the help there and in Sumy, and if there a way for them to receive this money and be able to find food and water. So I contact my sister and I kind of like sent few dollars there to try to see if she will receive, and she did successfully, which is great. I also sent some money to church, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and that church is actually what they doing. They are helping the wounded soldiers, and they help in orphanage houses that is right now I showed you, and they helping elderly people who cannot protect themselves, who cannot find food or medicine, which is the most important thing right now, and Medicare and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to do right now, except helping the refugees, I would like to help my city, and I would collect the donations, and if you need if you would like to donate, please contact me. I did put some of the paper like with my email and my phone number. You can text me, and unfortunately I don't usually pick up the phone because I also have a 40-hour job. Yes, I have to do that too, and I'm a mom. So, but text messages I will reply for sure. What I'm doing right now, and I'm just thinking about the way to do it, I've been learning photography for a year, and I've been interested in photography. I wanted to open the photography business, but right now I kind of stopped doing that because I have more priorities right now. I'm offering the family pictures for donations. So it's basically, there's a spring coming, everybody would like to have family pictures I don't really care how much you're gonna donate. Every dollar will help. I would not see how much you donate. If you wanna set up the family picture sessions, it's going to be outside anytime, like when it will be a good weather. I can do pictures for you for your donations. If you need, I did put the papers to contact me if you need me, if you would be interested for doing that.
Great. So
100% of the donations will go to Ukrainian church who helps with the elderly people and orphanage and everything. And I will cover the whole transaction cost and everything.
awesome. So her contact information is back there. You can let her know if you'd like to get a spring photo session, and then in process make a donation. All of that will go to helping the people on the ground in Sumy. If you give through the church, in one of those envelopes, just write Ukraine on it. That's going to go to World Vision and help with the refugees who are there. And I would ask that you would continue to pray for the people of Ukraine, pray for Lana and her family. And I just want to thank you so much for using your voice to help to save lives. If we can save, there's been so many acts against humanity, and if we can create some acts of humanity, maybe that's a little bit of foothold for the good guys as all this is unfolding. Friends, would you join me in thanking Lana Mosser for joining us today?
Thank you. I just want to thank you very much for everything, and please spread the word. If you know anybody who will be interested to do the pictures, please give them my information so I would be able to set up the family session with them. Thank you so much. Please don't ignore. Please fight for human lives. Thank you.
Thank you.